Hey guys, welcome to VBC. I can't wait to focus on God with y'all.
Have fun.
Let us keep looking to Jesus. He is the one who started this journey of faith, and He is the one who completes this journey of faith. Hebrews 12:2a.
Everything you do is beautiful. Oh, all that you have made is wonderful. Oh, so I will sing it out, shout it loud. My God is amazing, and I will celebrate, give Him thanks. My God is amazing.
Party, but I wanted to tell you something, and I think you know it's about the Bible. Let's keep looking up to Jesus, because He was the one who started the journey of faith and the one who will complete the journey of faith.
Hey everybody, Jesus talked a lot about focusing on God. He talked about it in a bunch of different ways, and one of the ways that He talked about it had a lot to do with building. Here's what I mean. When somebody builds a house, what do you think the first thing is that they have to look at? The plans. They have to look at the plans or the blueprint. And the reason for that is because they have to know where to start. And the same thing, if you've ever played with Legos, you have to start somewhere near the bottom, right? To be able to build whatever you want to build. And looking at the instructions, you have to start with a really strong foundation. That's the most important part of the building, because without that, the building is not going to stand up very well, is it? You see, Jesus was talking to His friends about this exact thing one day, and we get to look at that today. So if you have a Bible, we're going to be in Matthew chapter 7, and this is what Jesus says to His friends about buildings. Everyone who hears my words and puts them into practice is like a wise man. He builds his house on the rock. The rain comes, the water rises, the winds blow and beat against that house, but it does not fall. It is built on the rock. But everyone who hears my words and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man. He builds his house on sand. The rain comes down, the water rises, the winds blow and beat against that house, and it falls with a loud crash. So what Jesus is saying here is pretty simple if you just look at what he says. He says that people who hear what he has to say and then put it into practice are wise. And wise people are often the people that we get to look up to and what we hope to be. So how do we do that? How do we hear Jesus when he's not standing here in front of us? I mean, it was probably easy for his friends to hear him because he was with them. But how do we get to hear him when he's not necessarily right here, physically in front of us? Well, we're doing it right now. You see, the best way to hear from Jesus is to read the Bible. That's his words. We're reading his words that were written down. And the thing that we have to look at, though, is that he didn't tell us to just read his words or hear his words, but he said that we should also practice. And it's just like if you have a Lego kit, right? And you read the instructions, you can read the instructions as many times as you want to. But until you pick up the Lego pieces and actually start doing what the instructions say and putting the pieces together, you won't have the finished product. And the instructions aren't doing anything, they aren't changing anything because they're not being acted on. And it's the same way in our lives, is when we base our lives on what Jesus says and what he tells us to do, then we get to live a life that looks like that. And the reason that Jesus tells us this, and the reason that he tells his friends this, is because he knows that in our lives we're going to have hard times. And in the story that he tells, he's talking about storms coming onto a house. And in the same way, if our lives are the house, we're going to face storms. So what does he say? How does he say that the house stands strong? It's when it has a firm foundation. He says, everyone who hears my words and puts them into practice is like a wise man. He builds his house on the rock, meaning it has a firm foundation and it will weather the storms. Jesus wants us to be able to be strong in the storms. And the only way that we can do that is by having a firm foundation. So why do you think Jesus told this story to his friends? I'd be willing to bet that it's because he knew that they were going to face hard times, but he wanted to show them how to make the wise choice even when they're facing hardships. So you can focus on God by reading the Bible because it's what he says. And then you get to put what you read into practice. And you can start by reading the Gospels. That's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. It's the first 4 books of the New Testament. And these 4 books were written by people who either knew Jesus personally or talked to people who knew Jesus personally. And it's a great way to see how Jesus lived so that you can see what he said. So remember today that you can hear from God. And you can hear from him, how? By reading the Bible. And with God's Spirit in us, which is a spirit that he gives us when we trust him, then we can see what Jesus said and did and make the same choices and make wise choices to live a wise life that's focused on God. Will you pray with me? Father, thank you for being here today. Thank you for giving this word. And I just want to thank you for giving us an opportunity to hear what you have to tell us by reading the Bible. I pray that we will look to it, and I pray that we will build a firm foundation in our lives on you so that when storms and hard times come, we know that our lives will not be torn apart and broken down because we have a firm foundation in your name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
You can hear from God.
This is my faith, this is my focus, all of my days. I know where my hope is, I'll live it loud, I'll shout the chorus, because I know you're always for us. And even when it's hard for me to see, I will trust in you, I will believe. And even when it's hard for me to see, I will trust in you, I will believe. And keep on looking to you for where I'm going, knowing you go there too. I'll keep on looking to you. I'll fix my eyes on you. You are my only focus. You are my only focus. You are my only focus. I fix my eyes on you. This is my faith. This is my focus. All of my days, I know where my hope is. I'll live it loud. I'll shout the chorus because I know, oh, you're always for us. And even when it's hard for me to see, I will trust in you, I will believe. And even when it's hard for me to see, I will trust in you, I will believe. And keep on looking to you for where I'm going, knowing you go there too. I'll keep on looking to you. I'll fix my eyes on you. You are my only focus. You are my only focus. You are my only focus. I fix my eyes on you, oh yeah, oh yeah. Woo! You ready? Come on, let's go. Hands in the air, hands in the air. I know you're there, I know you're there. Anywhere, oh. Anywhere. I fix my eyes on you, you. Hands in the air, hands in the air. I know you're there, I know you're there. Anywhere, oh. I fix my eyes on you, and keep on looking to you for where I'm going, knowing you go there too. I'll keep on looking to you. I'll fix my eyes on you. You are my only, you are my only focus. You are my only focus. I'll fix my eyes on you.
Hey guys, I hope you had an awesome day at day 2 of Vacation Bible Camp, and I hope that you enjoyed Hunter's message. It was so awesome to hear how we can hear from God so that we can focus on Him more. I want to encourage you to have a great rest of the day, and we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. All right, bye.
I fix my